Okay, so hi everyone, and welcome to another demo day. As always, we will take 5 minutes before we start to give time for everybody to join. Today, as always, I'm not alone. Kane is first. Hello, Kane. How are you? Glad to see you here. But yeah, as always, I'm not alone, but today is extra special. So as you know, I'm joined by Romaric, CEO at Qovery. Um, so you can say hello to everybody, Romaric.
Hello, I was just writing a post on Twitter saying, "Hey, I'm live. Come, just come and join us. Like, enjoy this time together." And we have like a special guest, so join us.
So
So
we,
that's why I was not like super. Uh, yeah. Anyway,
so yeah, as you say, we do have a very special guest today, because we have Hamza, which is a senior solution engineer at Doppler. So super glad to have you today, Hamza.
Thank you, Albane and Romaric. Now excited to be here.
And yeah, we'll talk about Doppler a bit later, but it's super great. It's a great opportunity because we'll be able to learn, like more about Doppler, more about this partnership between Qovery and Doppler that maybe you saw, maybe you didn't. We have James, which is second. I don't know until when this is going to go, but very nice to have you here as well. As always, feel free to ask your question or say anything you want in the chat. There is always a slight delay between the chat and the live, so we might not see everything straight away. But we will do our best to answer the question as fast as possible. And also, like, don't wait. You don't need to wait for like the Q&A or something like this at the end. Just feel free to pop your question like whenever you have them. So we will try to answer to everything. So yeah, I think, I don't know, should we wait a bit longer or should I start with the
we can
agenda
wait.
maybe?
We
We
can
can
wait
wait a
just
little
maybe
bit.
like 40 seconds and then we go.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
also just to complete what Alban said, so if you are watching the record, just feel free to drop also your comments. We are like looking at all the comments that you're dropping, so we can respond even like in an asynchronous way. So do not hesitate.
Exactly. And from what I see, usually the first comments are always from the Qovery team. This time it wasn't, so I don't
Yeah.
know. They are not watching us anymore. So, um, but
Okay.
I might just start with the agenda, because even if you arrive after that, it's not really an issue. But yeah, basically we will first start by a small introduction of Qovery by Romaric, in case you don't know us and you don't know what we do. Then we will talk about last month's top feature. So I think three of them. And then after that is a special moment where we have our guest, Hamza, which will tell us more about Doppler and also show us how Doppler and Qovery work together, like the integration. Then we will talk about why this partnership makes so much sense for us. And we will finish, like all the time, by talking a little bit about what is planned for very soon and what will go out, what is on our roadmap and what will go out very soon. So make sure you stay until the end if you want to hear about what is coming next. So, Romaric, can you tell us more about Qovery for the people that are new here?
Of course, like always. So just like quickly, if you don't know about us, so Qovery is a cloud infrastructure platform that you can use that streamlines the experience that you expect like for your developers, helping you to deploy your application in the cloud on your cloud account in a very seamless and simple way. So basically, it's a platform that you can just install in a few minutes. And then from that, you can do tons of things. We have different business use cases that you can just leverage with our platform, from cloud infrastructure automations to like running productions to do what we call like infrastructure automations. So if you need to manage multiple cloud accounts and deploy application into different like a region with different technical stacks. So it's basically like an experience that we do provide to make sure that DevOps people and developers can just better collaborate together, like making sure that those developers are also a bit more autonomous to just ship their application. That's what we do basically. And Qovery is an abstraction layer that is running on top of Kubernetes on your cloud account. Okay, so meaning that you have access to your whole infrastructure as well, and you benefit from that, from the experience that you do expect when you want to abstract just away like the cloud, just to make sure that you focus on what makes sense for your business. So that's basically what we do in terms of integration. So Qovery really like integrates well in your working environment. So what does that mean? It means that you can connect your GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket account, picking your repository that you want to deploy. Then Qovery takes care of everything from building the applications to deploying it to your Kubernetes cluster on your cloud account. But then also you can also integrate into your CI/CD systems like container registry. And on top of that, we do provide like multiple interfaces that you can use to leverage like the experience that we provide. So from the web interface, so usually I'm doing all the demos from the web interface, then everyone can just follow what we're doing. But you have a Terraform provider, you have a CLI, and even an API. We have customers that are building on top of our product just to provision like infrastructure at large scale with their own web interface, and they're using our API. So that's basically what we're doing. Yes.
So thanks, Romaric. So now that you know all the essential details about Qovery, let's explore the most important release of the month. Coming first, we have the deployment logs. So basically, the team worked on a new log interface that give you a clean and nice view of what is happening during the deployment of your environment. So every time that deployment is triggered, Qovery will provide you with the logs of its execution, as well as any error that might occur. Romaric, I see that you already have your screen to show everybody.
Yes, sorry, I was a bit just fast. But yes, it's much better just to show like in real time what looks like the deployment logs. And something that is really important is that, so I don't know if you were familiar with the previous versions, but we have launched actually these features like last month. It was live, but we have improved since that, obviously with the feedback that we get from our users. But the idea is really like to get the experience, the unified experience of all the logs of your application within the same environment. Because with Qovery, you have this ability of managing multiple applications within the same environment. So here I have 11 services, and those services, they are composed of a backend application, front-end, containerized, not containerized, databases, Postgres, Redis, even Terraform scripts that you can see. And the idea is that when you deploy an environment, a complete environment from your complete stack, you can watch the logs of like the full environment. So meaning that if something goes wrong at any point of time, let's say that you're deploying your Terraform script and you need to watch actually like what's happening, what's going wrong during the deployment of that, you have access to one simple interface. So here everything is green, but in the case where something is wrong, then you can see just a check mark that is red, saying that this application actually is like is not in a good state. So you can just watch exactly what's going on with the deployment logs and the live logs. The difference between deployment logs and live logs, deployment logs, so you have two tabs for each service, is that for Qovery, you have two different stages. So you have the stage where we deploy like something. So it's the building phase, and we start to prepare like the application, the artifact, and then we start deploying it. And we have the live logs that is containing like all the output logs from the execution, the runtime of the application. So in the case of a Terraform RDS script that we're deploying, so the building phase is basically preparing that script, so packaging that script into a container application, containerized application. And the live logs is when we do execute that Terraform script. So basically running the commands that we have defined into that script. So running the Terraform apply command and executing that script. And so we can watch those. So imagine now we are providing this unified interface for each service. And what you can see on the left is the pipeline view, which is quite important because Qovery, and that's something that we'll cover just afterwards, but with Qovery, you have the concept of a pipeline when you deploy an environment. So you can just like order the different stages and different services that you want to deploy. So let's say that you want to deploy your whole environment, but you want to start with your databases, your broker. You want to also seed your database. So you have a script here that you can execute. So all of that you can create. So what we call stages, and you can place all those steps into those stages. So then the order of execution will be first the databases, migrations, and seed, backend, gateway, and so on and so forth. And when you look back at the deployment logs, you can see like all those stages that are accessible from the left. Okay, so you can really see that from the top to the bottom that the execution will be done in that way. Okay, so that's basically what we do provide. And we have a bunch of other things that we do just to improve the experience of the logs, because from our experience, our user, they spend a lot of time just troubleshooting what's going on. Obviously, when it works, it just works. But when it doesn't, then you really need to get into it and understand what's going wrong, especially in the moment platform engineering movement, where we work with a lot of companies that are trying to make sure that their developers get the experience that they do expect. So to provide that experience, it means that when the developers are deploying something that is wrong, they must be able just to troubleshoot what's going on. And to do that, so providing that those logs in this way with this experience is very, very important. So yes.
So yeah, great. And thanks you for your comment, Hugo. We will pass it to the front-end team because they put a lot of efforts to make beautiful thing, our design team as well. So it's always appreciated. And well, coming up next, you kind of already teased it before, but we have parallelized build and deployment. So this one is all about speed. Basically, before the release, before this release, every deployment operation was done sequentially. And with this new feature, you can parallelize, it's very hard to say, this operation and deploy up to 4 apps at once per stage. So basically, you can make your deployment speed 2.5 times faster on average. Don't know if you want to show something.
Yes, yeah, I want to show something because it's a very important one. And actually, sorry, I'm just dropping, and it's live session, so I'm just trying to share the meaningful part. And sorry about that, but I try just to deployment part. Okay, this one is quite interesting. Yes, so that's exactly what you described, actually, Albane. So what we had as an engine, deployment engine, is that we had this sequential execution engine. So all the steps that are executed step by step with different stages. So it was not parallelized. That was like the default behavior that we had since like the beginning of Qovery. Since now we have a lot of customers deploying like dozens of applications, it was like very important just to make sure that they can deploy that in a reasonable amount of time. Because today, if you look at what's going on, is that if you have, let's say, like 6 applications that are deployed, what will happen is that it will take a lot of time. You will not optimize like the time of the different steps if you have like a parallel like engine. So what we have done is just that basically we have created this parallel sequential execution engine. That's the name that I given to that one, because actually we can do it in even better way. But basically what you can do now is that by default, when you deploy and you just order like the different steps inside the stages. So Qovery will make sure that executing. So when we execute a stage, we execute like the different steps in parallel with the limit of 4 up to 4. So let's say you have 3 steps or 3 applications that you want to deploy into one stage, then we'll deploy like all those 3 steps all together. But if you have, let's say, 6, then we'll deploy the 4 and then wait like for getting like two remaining slots just to like deploy the other ones. And how it looks like this. So just basically, if I go back here, so you can see that the default number of parallel deployment is to 4 now, okay? And here, what does that mean? It means that if I redeploy the full pipeline, so the full environment, we'll see that the execution of those those steps will be done like in parallel. So that's what I'm gonna do here now, okay? And we'll see what will happen like in just a few moments. Okay, so here you see, if I move from one step to the other, so one service to the other, we are seeing that the Terraform RDS now is already like in a building mode. It's going to be deployed. The SQS one is still like mirroring the image. The DB here, same, and same for that one. So you see the execution is really like in parallel, like for all those steps all together, okay? So now it's by default for MM1. Something that we plan to do is also making like the number of parallel deployment configurable at some point. So today it's limited by 4, just like the time that we stabilize like all the things, but you will be able to configure it afterwards. And also something that we do plan to do is also improving the algorithms that we are using just to make sure that we can parallelize as much as possible at the same time. So that's not something that I'm going to cover, but the idea is to get into what we call like parallel executions, like just pure parallel execution. But it's another topic. We have like the opportunity to talk about that just afterwards. So thanks, Albane.
It will be a topic for another demo day. So make sure you stay in touch if you want to hear more. Okay, and the last thing we will talk about what has been done the last month before starting our demo. We go back to the logs this time, but a different type of log right now, because we will talk about audit log. So basically, this is a super useful features, because it allow you to easily monitor all the actions that are taking place within your organization. So it gives you a view of any configuration change. So you are able to know who did what, where, and when. And this is especially useful when you need to debug, for example. I don't know if you want to show it as well. Oh, we have a cute person passing.
Yeah. Yes, of course. So let me go back to my screen. So I don't know if you have seen that, but let me go back here. You have a new icon that is available just on the left bar. So you have the audit log icons that are accessible, that is accessible also like in beta to all our users. And basically, if you click on it, then you can see like this beautiful interface just showing you like all the actions that have been made on the platform. It's quite important, as you know, especially we had like the experience with customers. So last week we were doing our offsite and we had these customers that were complaining about like some downtime that they get from their application. And actually when they spend time, so thanks to that feature, but what happened is that they just like investigated what's going on with like the configuration of the application, and they have seen that one of their users has just made like some changes that were not planned into their applications. So then from that, what they have seen is that, okay, they had to revert like all the changes that were made just to make sure that their application were back again. So basically you have this view now that is accessible. You have like a few options, and we are adding new options like every week. Actually, our team is working on it, but you can filter like on the with the date range. So you can see like, let's say all the changes that were made between like the 6th of June and the 20th. So in just one click, so you can filter on that. Okay. So you can see who made the action. So basically, and it will be even more better in the future. You will see like the image of the person, and like it will be much more fancier than what you can see here. But basically you can see who made like the change. So Qovery can do like some changes like automatically. That's what we're seeing here, like triggering the stop of that environment and triggering the deploy. But we can see that Romaric made also like some changes during like that period. So you can watch all the changes. So also like in the future update, you will be able to filter on the user. But today you can do it already on the tool that is used. So we are able just to see if a change has been made from the console, from the CLI, or from the Terraform provider, because we also provide that provider, a Terraform provider. So it's quite useful just to see from where the change is coming from. Okay. So you have the event type, you have the ability to filter like on different type and so on and so forth. I'm pretty sure you're aware of like that type of feature is something that is like coming from all the different type of products, especially the ones that are like in the B2B space and for like businesses. So it's very simple to understand like the need of that. And something that I wanted to share is also like in terms of integration inside the product, what you will get is that from an environment also, you will be able to just right away from, let's say, that environment or that application backend, you want to see what's wrong with that application, who made like the changes, what was like the last changes from that application. You will be able just in one click to get access to the appropriate view with the right filters, just to see everything that happens for that application, you see. So really, we'll make sure that the experience is like even better with the audit log, but today it's accessible to anyone. And if you have any feedback, just feel free to share that. We love feedbacks just to improve the product, obviously. Yeah.
Great. So coming up next is the most exciting moment of this demo day, because we will talk about a great partnership that we recently launched, and is a partnership between Qovery and Doppler. So we first started with a simple article to explain why this partnership would make a lot of sense, followed by a ticket on our public roadmap, and we received so many upvotes, so many requests for this integration that we felt like we had to deliver, and fast. So so if you haven't read the article, so the goal of the partnership between Doppler and Qovery is to provide a solution for developer and engineering team to automate their deployment and manage secret and environment variable in a better way. But if you are new to Doppler, absolutely no worries, because Hamza is here today. And he will tell you more about Doppler, and he can answer your question as well. So don't hesitate to ask question in the chat. And we will also show the integration and talk about use cases. So welcome, Hamza, and thank you for being here with us. And can you tell us more about Doppler?
Yeah, thank you, Albane. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Romaric, for the demo on Qovery as well. So I think I'll jump straight into it and start sharing my screen. And I'll give a quick overview of what Doppler is and what Doppler is designed to do. And then we can talk about the actual integration with Qovery and how that works. So this is the UI for Doppler. Doppler is a SaaS solution. And so Doppler is different to a lot of different secrets managers out there because it's a secret ops platform that acts as the single source of truth for secrets like API keys, database credentials, private keys, or passwords across all your projects, all your infrastructure like AWS, GCP, your developers, and devices. Now, one of the most important things for Doppler is the concept of projects. And this is how we actually organize secrets. So if I jump into the payments project here, we can see we have a list of environments. Now, this is just an example. You can have many more environments. You can kind of arrange them how you want as well. But the environments allow you to have branches underneath them as well. And these are like branches in GitHub and GitLab that allow you to inherit changes while remaining in sync with your team. So this concept of branches is extremely important for two use cases. For local developers, each developer can have his or her own personal development branch. And that gives them their own version of secrets to test, to maybe deploy to another cloud. And then for actual CI/CD and production, branches allow you to deploy to different services and remain in sync with them with different versions of secrets. So if I'm deploying an application on AWS and GCP, maybe 90 out of the 100 secrets I need are the same. But to account for those 10 different secrets, the branches really help. Now, Doppler also allows developers to use their own version of secrets and inject them directly as environment variables into any process using our CLI. So I'm going to jump into one of these branches to kind of take a look at what secrets look like. So we can see we have a list of secrets. We have a database URL. We have some environment variables for application config that you can see since they aren't secret. We have a private key that's actually restricted. So the only way you can actually see this secret is when your application consumes it. So you have the option to have different visibility types for secrets. Now, adding a secret within Doppler is extremely easy. I can add it through the dashboard, or I can actually use the CLI or the API or even Terraform to do that. So if I add a new secret here, maybe we can call it Qovery Doppler Demo and just give it a value. I can click Save. And then if I make a quick change here as well, we can see the new config secrets have been updated. And now I can actually jump into the log section here and see that we have a red-green line diff for any changes I'm making. And then I can also roll these changes back. So let's say I make a mistake, I have the wrong secret or wrong API key, I need to update that. I can roll those changes back. So Doppler gives you complete versioning. We're also recording who made the change, what time they made it, what OS they used to actually make the change. And you can export all this information out to services like Datadog or Splunk or Sumo Logic. So this is really important for compliance and auditing. Now, when I made a change in the development environment, we see that I have an error letting me know that a secret is missing in all these other environments. So whenever developers are having secrets stored in dev, staging, or prod, we know that a missing secret can lead to an outage. So we actually pre-fill the secret name for you so you can have the various different values for the secret across different environments. Now I can add the missing value manually, but this isn't the best case scenario. So we can use something unique to Doppler called secrets referencing. So just like you have variables in code, I can have variables for secrets within Doppler and reference them not only across projects, but also across environments. So if I just type dev, we can actually reference this secret, and I can cascade this change across the other environments in one step. And so now we have that secret referencing the secret that I created in dev. And if I go back to the project, we can see the errors no longer exist. So that gives you a high-level idea of how we're thinking about structuring these secrets, how developers are able to inject them into their processes, as well as sync them with all of our integrations. So as soon as I make the change, we can see that some of these branches have a green symbol next to them. So that's where Doppler's idea of a single source of truth comes in. You can sync your secrets with all the integrations that we have, like AWS, Parameter Store, GCP, and even Qovery, which I'm going to show you in just a second. So that's all about Doppler being a single source of truth. But as a secret ops platform, another really important aspect of managing secrets is access control. So how do you actually control who has access to these secrets? Doppler takes care of this in a robust manner, but also trying to keep it extremely simple. And we do this with the concept of groups and users. So for example, people in the backend group have access to this payments project with developer permissions for just the development environment. So you can assign permissions at scale to these groups. And then with the help of Enterprise SCIM, you can also automate provisioning. So if someone joins your team, let's say your IDP is like Okta or OneLogin, as soon as they join your team, they automatically get added to the appropriate groups in Doppler, and then will automatically have access to the secrets they need. So developers no longer need to share env files with one another. They automatically have access to the secrets they need for the applications they need in a secure manner. So that's a very high level of what Doppler does. There are a lot of other advanced features that we can go and get into the detail of, like secrets rotation, that actually allows you to manage the life cycle of your secrets. These are things we're investing heavily in to allow you to have a single platform to manage all of your secrets from one place. But I'm actually going to go ahead and start talking about the actual integration with Qovery. So we see we have all these different services like GitHub Actions, Circle CI, and that's essentially the same idea we have with Qovery, where developers are able to get access to their secrets in the tools that they need. So let's say I want to sync these secrets to an application I'm creating in Qovery. Well, first and foremost, I want to make sure I have a project created in Qovery, and I have an environment, and then I have a sample application as well. So I have this URL shortener sample application, and we can go into the variables piece right here and see I have a list of pre-built in Qovery secrets, but I don't have any of the secrets I need for my environment. So I go to the integrations page, Doppler, and I can connect a sink. So if I add a sink, we have a list of all the options we have here, and Qovery is one of them. So first and foremost, you need to create a connection with Qovery, and for that, you need an API token. So if I go back to Qovery, I go to settings, API token. I already have one created, but all you do is click add new, you have a token name, and you give a description that you remember. And make sure to copy the token as soon as you get it. That's the only option, only time you're gonna have an option to do that. So we already have that connection created. So I'm gonna go ahead and click it. And now you actually get to choose the scope of your Qovery integration. So whether that's an application, a container, or a job. In this scenario, we have an application. Then you choose the Qovery project, the environment, the actual application. And then we're going to choose which config from within Doppler we want to sync to that application. So in our case, that's going to be the dev sync that we just saw. And you also have an option to do a one-time import when you're setting up the integration. We're not going to import just for this demo, but you can import preferring either Doppler or Qovery as the source to be used if you have similar secrets stored across both of those. So let's click Setup Integration. Oh, so this is good. So we actually have a secret named Qovery Doppler Demo that we created. And one of the things for the integration is that you can't have a secret starting with Qovery because that's a reserved name. So we're actually going to go back to our payments project. And this is something we can do right here is we'll delete the secret. And we can delete it across all of those right there. And we quickly go back and start the sync again. Choose the project, the environment, and we won't be importing. And so now the sync has been set up and we see the status is in sync. So we can actually go back to our Qovery environment and we go to the variables and we see that we have all the Doppler variables here. So this is actually a real-time sync that's happening. So if I go back to my payments project, and we see we have a test key here, and we have a test key variable here as well, I can actually delete one of these variables, click Save, and when I move into my application in Qovery, it automatically reflects that. So this is a real-time sync, and essentially, it allows you to control all of your secrets for all your services from Doppler, and just have your developers have a much faster time to operationalize all their applications. So that's all I have for the demo for the integration. And Romaric, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Hamza, for the demo. It's like super useful for our user, like just to see like the complete flow from you. And to be honest, I'm super impressed by the experience provided by Doppler. That's something just like for the short story. So I met Brian, so the CEO, during the KubeCon in Detroit last year. So he made me just like a quick demo of the platform. I was like super impressed, the experience, super aligned with what we want to provide to the developers and users. And that's why we had so much like pull from our user base, like about these integrations, because they are like already using Doppler when they come to Qovery, is because they really want also to get that experience like for the infrastructure level of things. And this is why it makes just sense, like working together, and the experience that you've shown is just like wonderful. Because there is also one other point. So you mentioned that obviously, so the time to market in some way from our users. So when they have already synced like their credential with Doppler, and just like in one click they can connect, and they have no longer like some .env file that they have like to share with their team, and just like to insert of those secrets on Qovery. They no longer needs to do that, and that's a pretty good point. And also something that we have seen is that we have a lot of customers actually that they're already using AWS, for instance, and they want to modernize and simplify like their technical stack, and they're using, for instance, AWS Secrets Manager. And AWS Secrets Manager, like integrating that into Qovery, is not super complex, to be honest, because we do provide like all the primitives that they need just to do that, but still like requires like a small effort, like you see, because we have also like our own way just to structure a project and application. And this is where really like Doppler is wonderful, because Doppler you can synchronize, and this is why we push like our customer using AWS Secrets Manager using Doppler, because they can synchronize like their secrets. They can provide the experience that their end user expect of like a secrets manager. Like every single developer, they can manage permission in a very seamless and simple way. And integrating that with Qovery is just one click away. So that's wonderful. It's just wonderful. So thanks for that, Hamza.
Awesome. Now, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, as you can see, I mean, it just take a few seconds, maybe a few minutes to do to do the integration. Is super fast, super well done. And I just put in the chat the Doppler documentation and Doppler and Qovery documentation. So don't hesitate to have a look at it if you want more information. And if you have any question or anything like that, just pop them in the chat. And even if you see this video in like 3 days, 1 week, whatever, and you have question to ask about Doppler, we can tag Hamza or someone else from Doppler in a comment so they can answer to your question as well. But yeah, thank you so much, Hamza, for coming and doing this great demo and explaining us more. Is super valuable. And we will, the last topic of the day is about the exciting feature that are coming to Qovery soon. I must say it was very hard to choose because we are currently working on a lot of things, some very big projects, some smaller one, and a lot of things are expected. But let's just keep it to 2 things today. And the first thing is that the team has been working really hard. And we already started and is continuing to work on the Terraform provider. So we already have a Qovery Terraform provider, but if you follow all the adventure, we had a V3 version of our console, of our UI console that went out some months ago with a lot of new features. And obviously, we had to make our Terraform provider as good as the UI. And is what the team is currently doing. So a lot has been done already, but there is some other important missing parts, like the deployment rule for environment, manage file as environment variable. I don't know if you want to add anything, Romaric, but yeah, the team is currently working on that.
Yeah, aliases and overrides. So mostly they are like the ones that are missing. Advanced settings from the services as well, but they are going to be like added soon. So the goal for us is just to make sure that the Terraform provider is like 100% aligned with all the features that we do provide from the other interface. Why? Because actually we do work on the service catalog. So that's the second point. And the service catalog, like to create, so the idea is just to make able like anyone to share like what they have created, what they have like prepared on their own with Qovery. So let's say, for instance, at Qovery, we do use Qovery for Qovery. We have deployed Airflow, we have deployed like Windmill and a few other projects with our platform. And the idea is that once we have a prepared and created something that is like a working well, we want to simply like export that configurations to make it like available to anyone. And for that, we are using Terraform actually. And this is something that is wonderful, because what happens is that from Qovery, you can export the whole configuration into a Terraform file, and that Terraform file will be like usable by anyone and will be available also shareable into like that service catalog. And that's a wonderful thing, because that's something that we're missing for a long time about Qovery. Because every single time that you were like onboarded and getting started with the platform, you had to start from scratch. Hamza had to spend some time, pretty sure, like to create that shortener URL like application. It's not a big deal, but still like required like a few effort just to get into the product, where like just basically you will be able to just in one click with the service catalog to deploy, let's say, a demo project or like an Airflow stack, or I don't know, Airbyte stack or whatever you want. Just in one click, you can get access to that. So that's really the wonderful things that we are like just going to deliver, and we are working on that features like with the product team and our designer since like last weeks, and we do expect to have something like in the coming weeks, at least in beta, just to get the feedback again from our end user. So that's pretty good and pretty exciting. And Hugo, you get it right exactly. Like for platform teams, I like providing the experience again, like keeping the control, providing like some modules, stuff for modules, and so on and so forth. M charts like to their developers with the right experience is exactly the purpose of that service catalog. So yeah, that's pretty exciting, super exciting even.
Yeah. And again, if you want to follow the progress of those features or other features, the best way to, to have the feature you want or to see what is coming next is first, I'm going to put the link right now, but is to go to our public roadmap that I'm putting in here. So you can, you can upvote the feature that you want to see. You can also, create tickets for the thing that you want to see coming in Qovery. And the second one is probably the change logs. Every 2 weeks we release a change log, and so you see, what is available on Qovery. You have link to the documentation and all of that. So don't hesitate to check those two things. I would say, and other than that, I think that the demo day is now coming to an end. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Romaric, if I forgot anything.
No, nothing like really serious, but I'm really excited about the service catalog and getting Qovery into like another dimension. That's really exciting. It's really for me, it's a big milestone since we have like a very stable product, a very like versatile product, like customers that they're doing and building on top of it using our API. So now the catalog, the service catalog is really like the next level where we'll push forwards like the innovation on the cloud infrastructure automation and management, I think. So super exciting.
Very wise word. So yeah, make sure that you follow the changelog to see to see it coming. Okay, well, so as I said, the demo day is now coming to an end. If you have any question after, don't hesitate to put them in the chat or to ask us in the forum. Let's put a link to the forum as well. If I found a link.
Discuss.qovery.com.
Yes, if you can put it in the chat. Yeah, in the forum, you can also ask any question you have about Qovery. We have a great engineering team that spend time doing like great answers, actually like complete answers. So if you have, any question, anything that are not clear for you, any doubt, the forum is like the best place to have your answers answered. So don't hesitate. And other than that, thank you so much for joining us for this demo day. Thanks again to Hamza for his time for today. Thanks to you too, Romaric, obviously.
And thanks to the Doppler team for the great integrations that they made, like just a crazy, amazing job. To be honest, it was like a very pleasure working with them. So looking forward for the future.
Absolutely. Well, have a great rest of the day, and we will see you next time for another demo day. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.